Hello, you guys. My name is Maggie, and I am from the Weller Center at Lehigh Valley Hospital. Some of you may recognize me from when I came into your schools and taught you guys face-to-face. Some of you may not, and that is perfectly okay. What the Weller Center does is we travel to a bunch of different schools, and we just teach different health programs. So I teach a lot of different things. I teach things like depression, vaping, drugs, a lot of different stuff, and I love teaching every single one of those. But for you guys today, we are going to be talking about anxiety. Now, anxiety is a really big topic. Millions of people all around the world are suffering from anxiety. It's a very common disorder that many people have to manage in their everyday lives. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about anxiety, what it is, the different types, and what makes anxiety different from just being nervous. We're also going to talk about some really positive ways to manage our anxiety to make it a little bit better in our everyday lives. All right, you guys, let's get started. All right, you guys, let's get started talking about anxiety. So I always like to start by defining anxiety. What does that word mean? What is anxiety? Well, anxiety is when you have extreme fear and worry, so much that it causes changes in your behavior, sleep, eating, or mood. And this end part is kind of the key to understanding anxiety. Anxiety causes changes in your everyday life. So for example, people with anxiety can have a really tough time sleeping because their brain is going a million miles a minute and they can't really calm down. So they'll lay in bed for hours and hours having a tough time actually falling asleep. Or maybe they have a tough time with eating. People with anxiety are always on edge, and that can lead to stomach issues. It may take away their appetite, and they may not want to eat very often. So, what's the difference between being nervous and having anxiety? And this is really important for you guys to understand, because most people think anxiety is just being nervous, and that's not really the case. There's a really big difference between just being nervous and having anxiety. Let's go over it. So, being nervous is temporary. It's a temporary thing. And we all get nervous sometimes for a bunch of different reasons. So maybe you have a really big test you have to take, or you have a really big family event or a sports game. You're probably going to be really, really nervous for that. Your heart is going to be beating. You're going to feel very tense, maybe a little stressed out. You may have a tough time eating. But when that event is over, so when you take that test or you play in that game, that nervous feeling goes away. So being nervous is a temporary feeling, and we all feel it at some point in our lives, and it goes away after a little while. Anxiety is different from that. People with anxiety feel that way all the time. So think about a point in your life when you were really, really nervous. Maybe you had to make a speech, you had to present a project, you had a really big game. Imagine that feeling all the time, that feeling of nervousness. That is what it's like for people with anxiety. They always feel on edge. They always feel very nervous, and they're always worrying. Now, anxiety is a medical condition, so it's not like being nervous. It's not something that just comes and goes as it pleases. People with anxiety, it's a medical condition, and that lasts for several weeks or longer. So it lasts for a very long time. People can have anxiety for years of their life. So it doesn't just come and go. It's always there with you. So I want to go over the symptoms of anxiety. So people with anxiety, these are going to be some of the symptoms they're going to feel. So the first one, being nervous or really tense. So you're really nervous all the time, your body is always very tense, and even when things seem very calm, you still feel this way. You have feelings of danger or panic, so you feel like somebody's out to get you. You feel like you're in trouble. A rapid heart rate. So people with anxiety, they're very nervous all the time, and that's going to increase their heart rate and make them feel even worse. Increased sweating, trembling, so your hands are kind of shaking a little bit. Difficulty focusing, so you can't really focus on school, you can't focus on your homework, it's just a really tough thing to do. So insomnia. Insomnia is a condition that means you can't sleep at night. So no matter how long you lay in bed, you can't fall asleep. Or maybe digestive problems. So you get stomach aches, you're going to the bathroom more, you're not really eating, maybe you're overeating. So those are all symptoms of anxiety. And you don't have to have every single one, but most of these symptoms are going to mean that you may have anxiety. Now, there are other types of anxiety. So, what I've been talking about is just general anxiety disorder. That's just a very general way of diagnosing somebody with anxiety. But there are other kinds. Another kind of anxiety is something called social anxiety. Social anxiety is a persistent fear of being watched or judged by others. So, you feel like everybody is always watching you, judging you, and saying bad things about you. And that can happen anytime too. It can happen on the first day of school. It can happen in activities like sports, clubs, or even just going to the park with some friends. And it's really tough to have social anxiety because imagine being friends with a bunch of different people or trying to make friends and you constantly feel like they're judging you, they're making fun of you, or they're not really your friend. So, my job is that I travel to a bunch of different schools and I teach health programs to a class full of kids. And if I had social anxiety, I wouldn't really be able to do my job because I would be standing in front of you guys, constantly feeling like you guys are watching me, you're judging me, and you're saying bad things about me. So it's really tough sometimes when people have social anxiety. It can be really difficult making friends, going to a group of people, or just trying to be in crowds in general because you constantly feel like you're being watched and you're always on the judging platform. Another type of anxiety is something called panic disorder. So, panic disorder is categorized by sudden and repeated attacks of fear that last for several minutes or longer. These are called panic attacks. So, people who have panic disorder are going to have panic attacks sometime in their lives. Now, these can be very frequent, or sometimes they can be very rare. And it's a fear of disaster, a fear of losing control, even when there isn't any danger. So people who have panic disorder will suddenly feel like everything around them is falling apart. They feel like they're losing control of their lives and everything is going wrong, even if that's not the case. So I saw somebody have a panic attack one time in my life. It was my sister, back when we were really young, back when she was a teenager, we still all lived together. She had a panic attack one time. She suddenly got really, really tense. She got very pale. She was hyperventilating, and she actually even passed out. So people who have a panic attack are suddenly going to feel like everything in their life is going wrong, and they're going to feel many different symptoms. Their heart is going to be beating out of their chest. It's going to beat a million miles a minute. They're going to get very shaky, maybe hot or cold flashes. They may feel lightheaded, and they feel like they can't breathe. They're hyperventilating. So it can be very scary to see somebody have a panic attack. But again, it's not their fault. This is a medical condition that they have no control over. So people who have panic disorder have to try and work with a therapist or a doctor to figure out what is causing their panic attacks and how to prevent them in the future. So it doesn't matter if you have social anxiety, general anxiety, or even panic disorder. We all have to find positive ways to manage our anxiety. Now, these are not cures. These are not going to suddenly cure your anxiety, but these are some positive coping skills that can help you manage it. Make it a little bit easier to manage during the day, especially if you go to school or you want to hang out with friends. So let's go over a couple of them. So one really positive way to manage our anxiety is talking about it. Talking about it is the best way to help manage our anxiety, and it's such a simple thing that many people don't really want to do. So if you feel like you may have anxiety, then try talking to a trusted adult in your life. So maybe a teacher you really like, your parents, an older sibling, a coach, or definitely try talking to your guidance counselor at school. I promise when you talk about it, it's going to make a really huge difference because you're getting all of those problems that you feel off your chest and you're confiding it to somebody who you trust. And they can help you guys find some more ways to manage your anxiety that are unique to each of you guys. Another way to manage our anxiety is deep breathing. Now, remember how I mentioned a symptom of anxiety is having a really fast heart rate? Your breathing is very quick, your heart rate is very fast. So if you do deep breathing, that can slow down your heart rate. It's going to make you feel a lot more calm and a lot more relaxed. So on the left here, this little video, this is a tool to help you guys manage your breathing. If as the shape grows, you take a deep breath in, and as it shrinks, you take a deep breath out. So this is a really cool tool to help you guys kind of get that deep breathing, and it'll time it for you. I'll leave a link down below of this video on YouTube, so anytime you feel like you're maybe having a panic attack, you're feeling very anxious, or you're just nervous in general, try doing some deep breathing. So breathe in as the shape grows and breathe out as it shrinks. And if you do this for long enough, it's going to slow down your heart rate and make you guys feel a lot more calm. And this is an excellent tool to use, especially when you're at school. Think about how stressed out and how nervous you may feel when you're taking a test. Before that test, just take a minute of your time and do that deep breathing to bring you back to normal levels so you can focus and think with a nice clear head. Another way to help with anxiety is to exercise, getting your bodies moving. Exercise has proven to be very effective in helping people with anxiety because it kind of gets all that extra energy out of their bodies in a really positive way. So try joining a sport. Maybe you really like soccer or baseball or swimming, or you want to join the track team. It doesn't matter. Just find something that you enjoy. And you don't have to join a sport. You don't have to go and play sports for your school. That's okay. Find a way to exercise on your own time that you enjoy. Maybe you really like running or you like riding your bike. Maybe you just want to do something as simple as walking your dog. Any of those are fine. Just find something that you enjoy that gets your bodies moving. And finally, one more way to help with our anxiety is to get into hobbies. These are outlets that kind of make us feel a lot better and may help you feel more relaxed. So maybe you really like painting or drawing. Maybe you really like to read and write. Or maybe you just like playing video games. It doesn't matter. Just find something that you guys enjoy. So for me, my hobbies are definitely, I love to play video games. I love playing video games on my computer and all those different things. I also love watching movies as well. When you're doing your hobby, you're going to feel a lot more relaxed, and it's also going to be something that brings you joy. It's just going to make you feel a little bit happier. So find a hobby that you enjoy. Find something new. Start a hobby that's a little bit more creative. It doesn't matter. Just find something that you guys love to do. And finally, there's one more thing I want to bring up. It's an app that you can download onto your phone, tablet, or even your computer. It's called the Self-Help Assessment App. That's kind of a mouthful, so they abbreviated it as SAM. You can search for SAM on the Google App Store or the Apple App Store, and this icon is going to pop up. This is the app you may want to try and download if you have anxiety. This app is designed specifically for people who are suffering from anxiety. It helps you to find your triggers, so finding those things that are causing you to have anxiety, and it can help guide you through deep breathing as well. It also has some amazing resources and more information if you do want to learn about anxiety. So if you guys feel like you're nervous all the time or you feel like you may have anxiety, I highly recommend downloading this app. It can really make a big difference in the little ways that you feel during the day. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned a lot about anxiety today, how to manage your symptoms and identify anxiety in maybe yourself or even your friends. If any of you think you have anxiety, definitely try talking to an adult or even your guidance counselor at school so you can help better manage your symptoms. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Bye!